Hey y'all, welcome back to another week of What's for Supper. So, in the kitchen this day, I have Aubrey. She's been wanting to get into the kitchen more and more, which is awesome. So, she's trying to figure out this potato peeler, which I just need a better one. It doesn't work very good. So, I said, well, I'll peel them and then you can cut them. And she was okay with that. So, eventually, she gives up on that potato peeler. Oh, she decided to pull the eyes off. That's what she was doing. She was like, let me do these eyes first. And then she eventually picks up a knife and, she helps me cut them. I cut some and she cut some. And then my my oldest daughter showed up to pick up my grandson, and so I had gone outside to talk to her. And I was out there for so long. I came back in, the camera was just a running, and there was nobody in the kitchen. It was funny. I had to cut out a good bit because when she finished with her potatoes, she just left the room. She went on about her business. But that's okay. Um, that's the beauty of editing, is that I was able to cut all of that out. But so tonight, my husband requested hamburger steaks. I'm not huge on hamburger steaks. Yes, my daughter loves to eat raw potatoes. I'm not huge on hamburger steaks, but I had taken out the ground meat. Really wasn't sure what I wanted to cook with it. But he said hamburger steaks, and I was like, well, okay, whatever. And then I really didn't think I had enough ground beef because, I don't know, hamburger steaks, there's a lot of meat eaters in here, and that is one meat that my husband will eat. So just to be sure I had enough meat, I took out, I think I had like six, like the 100% beef preformed hamburger patties. I took out some of those and cooked those in the oven real quick while I was cooking the others on top of the stove. And, we had plenty. Oh, look, here she is doing her potatoes. See those little slices on the blue? At the end, you'll see her snatch those up and leave. That's the ones I had cut for her to eat because she said, can I have some? And I was like, yes, sure. So anyway, I had done gone out the house to talk to my daughter. The weather was about to get bad, which you'll see throughout the video, and out the window. Oh, you saw her snatch them up? That's so funny. Anyway, I had gone out and I was talking to her, and I was like, well, I'm going to let you hurry up and get home before this weather starts. But then we kept talking and we kept talking because, y'all, I can just talk for days, even though I struggle with these voiceovers because I feel like I'm just sitting here talking to myself. And so it's difficult. But yeah, it's getting easier. But anyway, we kept talking until finally she did leave, and I came back in and carried on with the food. So we were getting the onions going. We love, what's it called? So I don't know, smothered onions. I just put like 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter in the skillet. I cut up 3 onions because the grown folks like onions, and I just put those cooking on a low heat to get them nice and tender and yummy. I did season them, and so excuse me. So I did get that started, and I think right now I'm also doing my son's medicine, which is why I'm not in the frame. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, you see that lightning in the window? Yeah, it was about to get bad. And if I wouldn't have had to take the sound out so that I could do this voiceover, you would have heard it. It was very loud, crackling thunder. My electricity blinked once, and I was like, oh no, I can't cook if the lights go out. But anyway, we did manage to get through without losing electricity. But yeah, you can see through that window, like it just keeps getting darker. and worse and worse with the lightning and the thunder. But but anyway, here I am seasoning up my ground meat as usual. I use Tony's Creole seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder. Um, Sometimes I throw in black pepper or red pepper. I didn't think to throw in like some Worcestershire, but anyway, it's too late now. We done ate it. um, what's this girl doing? Oh, scraping her bowl and putting it in the sink. My daughter is very particular with food, so she does not eat the hamburger steaks. Later on, she does help with the macaroni and cheese, and so she eats a little bit of the macaroni and cheese as her supper, but she had also had a bowl of cottage cheese. So at least that's got some protein in it, right? So anyway, back to my meat patties. I shape them not necessarily like a hamburger since we're doing hamburger steaks, but I shape those all up and put them in the skillet so that the grease doesn't like pop everywhere. Here I'm sending my son to go get me those to give me that pan. That way I can get those hamburger patties on there, and I season all of those too. And I think I had enough meat left to make 2 more hamburger patties, and I threw that in the oven to cook while the ones are on top of the stove cooking. I don't have a big enough stove to cook sometimes. It's like there's been times that I have stuff going on top of the stove, in the oven, and in my air fryer because I don't want to take the time to do 2 batches or whatever. Like the hamburger steaks, sometimes I just cook them on my little electric griddle, whatever it's called. But I didn't feel like doing that, and also because I knew straining out some grease into a bowl. I knew that if I cooked it on the grill, that grease would be splattering everywhere, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. See how they shrink up? I hate how they shrink up. I know the leaner ground beef doesn't shrink as much, but y'all, the price of meat right now, mercy. Anyway, I didn't want the grease going all over my kitchen, so I just stuck as much as I could in that skillet with the lid, and then I put the rest in the oven, and we were good to go after that. So let's see, what are we doing? Checking on everything, stirring those onions. They've just been cooking the whole time, really low. They were nice and tender, no crunch to them. I could have done a slightly higher heat just to get some color to them, because I always say color means flavor, but well, we just didn't do it on this time. I didn't think about it. But now I'm about to kill mercy. I am about to peel 2 cantaloupes. Now they've been sitting on my counter for a while, and so one of them was really, really squishy. I was struggling to peel it, and I was like, I'm not eating this. But my son and my daughter, the 2 older ones, they were like, no, that's the ones that are good and sweet. And I was like, well, I do like a soft cantaloupe, but not a mushy cantaloupe. So I cut that one up for them, and then I cut the other one that still was all, like not gross looking. I cut that one up for the rest of us, and it was sweet, and it was soft, a soft sweet cantaloupe. That's how I like it. It was very good. So that was our little side. So I didn't do brown gravy. I normally do brown gravy with our hamburger steaks, and depending on my mood, sometimes I do white gravy, like country gravy. But and from the pack, I don't do that homemade. I use the pack. I can do a brown gravy, from my drippings in my pan with some cornstarch or whatever. But I didn't do that, and I didn't have any brown gravy packets, so we didn't have gravy, sadly. But we just had our hamburger steaks. I made the mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot, which is nice and, it doesn't take long to boil potatoes on the stove either, but it just comes down to the fact that while my stove is occupied with these other pots, I was able to have my potatoes cooking in the Instant Pot. I think they cooked for 10 minutes, and then I strained out the water, put them back in the same pot, and made them right there in the pot. So it's not like it took any extra dishes or anything like that. I usually try to keep cleaning out of my what's for supper videos, but I had dishes to do, so I figured why not do them and leave it in here. I'll just speed it up. I think I said before, I like to clean my kitchen obviously before I cook, but that doesn't always get to happen. And so when it doesn't, okay, there's the hamburger patties from the oven. I just put them all in the same skillet, covered it back up, and threw it back in the warm oven to keep it warm while everything else, finished. I still had to do the mashed potatoes at this point. But there's my daughter making her macaroni and cheese that she wanted to help with. And my son, the 9-year-old, Bo, he was like, I want some boiled potatoes with crawfish seasoning. So that pot in the front, that was 2 yellow potatoes that I just diced up for him, and boiled in some liquid crab oil and salt. And yeah, like I've said this before in a cooking video, I do like to fix what I know my kids will. Like if they ask for something, now I'm not going to cook them a whole separate meal usually, but if they want something a little different or a little extra, I'll throw that in there, because I know if I'm cooking something for them that I'm not hungry for, I'm going to definitely cook something that I want. So, I don't mind doing the same thing for them. So that's what we did. So here she is stirring in. Y'all, I always say she's frail. She's so tiny. And I was showing her how to stir from the bottom and how to hold her spoon. I was like, hold your spoon like this and go, way down in there. And she managed. And then she fixes her a little bit. And then that was her supper, y'all. If she added anything else, it would have been tortilla shells with cheese, microwaved to melt the cheese, and then rolled up into like a cheese roll up. She's funny with her food, and I'm not gonna force. The thing, you eat what's cooked, or you don't eat it all kind of thing. I'm not that mama. So if she wants cereal, whatever. Because for years she wouldn't eat, and I was like, I don't know how this kid survives. But I got to a point where I was like, whatever she wants to eat, I'm gonna let her eat it, because at least she's eating something. I'd rather her eat something than nothing. It may not be healthy, but or not the healthiest, but it's better than not eating at all and being malnourished. So here I am fixing the plates, and we like those onions right on top of our meat. My daughter's fixing her plate. She was like, give me some of them onions. Yeah, we normally put like the brown gravy over our potatoes, and we put the onions on our meat and some more brown gravy, but we didn't have the gravy, so we just did without. But everything came out really good, and I think there was some meat left. I know DJ, that's the big one, he I fixed him 2 meats on his first plate, and then he came and said, we eat in the front room while we watch TV, and they eat at the snack bar, and he was like, is everybody finished eating? Because I want some more. So he did go back and get him some more. And Haley is the one that cleaned the kitchen on this night after we cooked. So I don't know how much was even left over. She put up the leftovers, so I don't know what we had left. But and then if it's enough to make a meal, we'll usually have it on another night, and it might not be the next night. Like we may skip a night before we have those leftovers. But I do know that you'll see coming up, I snuck a grocery order in here on y'all, and then we cooked some sausage and potato gravy on last night. So here's the plate. It was delicious. That's mine. Still eating my pickled cucumbers. But anyway, I'll see you later for the rest of the video.
What, can I eat big on a piece?
Yes. Okay, so here is our teeny tiny Walmart pickup order. And the Aubrey eating bacon. Okay, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first thing we have is this 12-pound bag of baking soda. Aubrey, quit licking your fingers. Okay, that's for the pool. I also had a thing of Shock, but that was out of stock and they didn't substitute it and I didn't realize. So anyway, there's that. Then we have 2 bottles of mouthwash. 1 jar, turn that jar around, Aubrey, of diced jalapeno peppers. 1 16-ounce bottle of the ranch dressing and dip. Then we have Sweet Baby Ray's honey mustard dipping sauce, the La Choy sweet and sour sauce, and this G-Hue sugar-free sweet honey flavored wing sauce. I bought these sauces because our market basket has chicken nuggets that taste really like the McDonald's nuggets, and but I can't eat them without dip, so we got a few of these to try. Non-fat plain Greek yogurt. I use that in the place of sour cream. And we're gonna have nachos one night this week, so I got that. 3 of these chuck tender roasts. I think I'll be cooking one of these tonight. These are $5.46 a pound, which I thought was really not that bad. That's lower than what I normally pay, so I went ahead and grabbed 3 of those. Then we have some nacho chips for the nachos that we'll be having at some point. I already have the big can of nacho cheese sauce, so I'll just heat that up, and I'll either cook some meat or heat up a can of like hot dog chili. And for those who like that, I just want cheese and sour cream and jalapenos on mine. Anyway, then we have these here tater tots because we will be making tater tot casserole one night this week. More potatoes. I prefer the yellow, but I got russet potatoes because they were just the cheapest right now. So I used the rest of mine last night making some mashed potatoes. Then I got 2 cucumbers, which I don't even remember ordering because I like the mini cucumber. I don't know. Anyway, 2 cucumbers, 2 cantaloupe, a little bundle of bananas, and a 3-pound bag of the sweet yellow onions. I think that's it. It was a small one. I feel like this can't be right. I don't know. Well, that meat adds up because this altogether was over $100. I can't remember the exact amount, but I'll pop that all up on the screen with the rest of the prices. But yeah, that's it. Our little small Walmart grocery pickup order and the Aubrey. So bye. Okay, moving on. So it's Tuesday, and you know, on that grocery pickup order. I had said that it was for meals for the week, and I was gonna do like a chuck tender roast and some nachos, and I never even got around to that that day or like earlier in the week. I ended up getting hungry for sausage and potatoes, and so my daughter was like, "Ooh, that does sound good." So we ended up doing sausage and potatoes. And this is a meal that surprisingly everybody likes in the house except for Aubrey, my 11-year-old that only eats carbs, which potatoes are carbs, and she'll eat french fries occasionally, and she likes them raw, but she doesn't eat them like this. She's silly. Anyway, we did some potatoes, and then I was like, you know what? Let's do extra and get a big pot of this going. That way we can have some, another night. Cook once, eat twice kind of thing. So, and I've said this before in my What's for Supper videos, is that I'll do this often. I'll cook enough for leftovers, but we won't have those leftovers the next day, which everybody here is fine with the leftovers. I know some people won't eat leftovers, but here that's not an issue. Some things are even better on the second night, but we usually will skip a night or two before eating those leftovers. I like to save it for a night where maybe I am busier than usual and don't get around to cooking, or I just don't feel like cooking, not just for the sake of having extra food, for leftovers. It's so that on a night where I probably will not feel like getting in the kitchen, we'll have something to eat. So on this night we are doing
Mom's pretty cup.
It is pretty. My pretty cup she bought me. I love it, and it's huge too. Anyway, on this night, we decided to do the sausage and potatoes in the Instant Pot. It's not hard to do on the stove, obviously, but I don't know. I like the Instant Pot. I can just put it in there and let it go. Normally, I would have the potatoes in with the sausage cooking all together, but we were like, hey, we like onions and stuff in ours. The kids do not. So let's cook all the potatoes in the Instant Pot, cook the sausage on the stove, and then when it's done, while the sausage is out of the potato, well, we left some of the sausage in the pot to cook with the onions. And then once the potatoes were cooked, we just took, our share of those potatoes and just put them in the pot that the sausage and onions and bell peppers and stuff are in. And then over there I was like, girl, put us some more sausage. But anyway, that's how we did it. That way we could have ours with all the goodness in it, and they could have their plain ones, the people who don't like good stuff. So that's what we did. We mixed the potatoes in our pot, and then we put their sausage into their pot, and then we ended up eating it like this night, and then we ate it again, I think 2 nights later, and then you'll see later on in this video when I finally get around to making the Tater Tot Casserole, there was a little bit of the potatoes and sausage left, and since it was a Tater Tot Casserole and was going to have, the tater tots on the top anyway, I decided to go ahead and stir the rest of those sausage and potatoes into the ground meat mixture of the Tater Tot Casserole, and we ended up having that Tater Tot Casserole 2 times, I think, as well. And so, it all got eaten up is the point I'm getting to. But this is a simple meal. Like I said, even if you do it on the stove, obviously the smaller that you cut your potatoes, the faster it will cook. I don't worry about that because at the end, once the potatoes are fully cooked, sometimes they'll start to dissolve and thicken the gravy naturally, which is one reason why I use the russet potatoes, because they have that different, they're starchier and they break down when you start to overcook them, which in this case, that's what you want because you want your gravy to be thick, or at least I do. And also, I don't eat mine on rice. They will eat theirs over rice, hence potatoes and sausage, or sausage and a potato gravy, however you want to say it. But I don't want, potatoes on my rice. I don't know, I'm weird. I just eat it like a potato soup. But anyway, and you can use any potato. Ooh, look how good that looks. And there's theirs with rice. Okay, another day, another dinner. We actually had leftover sausage and potatoes on this day. So, I guess it was a day I didn't feel like cooking. I don't honestly remember. But, see, I'm scooping that out into a bowl. I'm going to throw that in the microwave with a little bit of water to thin it down. And then we had some mac and cheese on the side, and I think that was pretty much it. Wipe it up. I could probably cook some more rice too in the microwave. Hey, y'all remember that beef chuck tender roast? Yeah, I still haven't cooked it. My daughter was like, Mommy, do we still have that crawfish in the freezer? And I was like, yes. So she was like, can we have an etouffee? And I said, if you want to peel those crawfish, I will gladly make an etouffee. I was not about to stand there and start peeling crawfish. So she peeled them. And I'm not gonna lie, even being in Louisiana, just like I use jarred roux for my gumbo because I am not taking the time to stand there and make roux. Sometimes I like to use the etouffee packs from the store. It saves all the work. You just dump it in and let it go. But I didn't have any of that, so I went ahead and just made it, and all you do for that, well, hold on, I'll get to that in a minute. Here I am cleaning up while she's waiting on that crawfish to thaw. I've said before, I prefer, oh, give me a bite, they're sharing, how sweet. I prefer to cook in a clean kitchen. That does not always happen. But because me and my daughter were both in the kitchen, it did help that, she did the dishes. I cleaned up a little bit. And then something I've been putting off for months is rehanging the kids' book sack thing, because one time my grandson was here and he had on the rollerblades. He slipped and fell and yanked that thing right out the wall. So it's been hanging all this time on one screw. So I get around to that later on anyway. But here I am. picked up all of my medicine refills, and I know you're here for a supper, what's for supper, but this is just things that happen, in the course of cooking supper sometimes. So I picked up all of my refills and my son's refills, and what I like to do with the new bottle is pour, if I have any left in the old bottle, I will pour that into the new bottle. And something that I've done to just make it easier for me to know whose pills are whose and how many to take, or whether it's a morning or a nighttime medicine, is obviously I keep our medicines in 2 separate containers, but I also write on the lid. So, like, for example, mine will have an M on the lid, and then it will either say AM or PM, or if it's something that I take twice a day, I'll just put like 2X on it. That way I know. Excuse me. So she's finally getting around to peeling those crawfish, and I'm going to start this. It is still a roux. I'd start off with butter, and I throw my seasoning blend in there. And yes, I'm trying to get through this seasoning blend. That's why we're not cutting, fresh onions and stuff. But it's all good, right? I take every shortcut that I can. So anyway, I'm cooking down those vegetables, onions. I think in the seasoning blend they have onions, bell peppers, celery, bell peppers, and celery. Is that it? I don't know. I think that's it. And then I did throw in some green onion tops that I had regrowing on the counter. I don't know if you knew that, but if you buy onion tops, green onions from the store, you can put the root in, once you cut off all the green, into a glass of water, and they will grow, and they will grow for a long time. So I did use some of that in here with this, and I just sauteed that for a while, let it cook down a little bit, and then I just throw in, so I had used a whole stick of butter, and so I think I used an equal amount of flour, and then you cook that for just a couple of minutes to get like the flour taste out, because you don't want your gravy to taste like flour. So you just kind of cook that for a couple of minutes, and I think I ended up adding a little bit more olive oil, because it was kind of dry. And then you just we threw in the crawfish, but you throw in your liquid. I usually kind of whisk it around to break up the flour. But we just dumped it all in there, throw in your liquid, and basically at this point, you can taste for seasoning because the crawfish is already cooked. But I just let it cook to the thickness. You let it cook to the thickness that you like, and obviously it's till your onions and stuff are cooked through. But it's a very fast meal, and you can also do this with shrimp, and it's delicious. This is the broccoli. I was gonna do like broccoli and cheese casserole. Well, that is what I did, but I didn't follow the recipe this time. I just kind of went off memory, and I wasn't making as big of a pan because nobody seemed to like it but me. I decided to throw in a can of cream of chicken to give it a little bit more flavor, and once I got that all how I wanted it, I put my crushed buttered crackers on the top and baked it until it was bubbly. Yum. This is some tomatoes from my daddy's garden. They were so good. I have some more that I need to eat too before they go bad on me. But anyway, all in all, fast meal, and it was good. So I finally got around to doing that tater tot casserole with the leftover broccoli and cheese, mac and cheese for everybody else, and corn. And then my son wanted brownies, but my daughter wanted banana pudding. So we made both. But anyway, so everybody makes their tater tot casserole different. Um, it's probably all good. Again, this would be good with onions and bell peppers, but I didn't put it in there because of the kids. Me and my husband also like jalapenos in ours, but I just seasoned it really good and left it plain because I wanted everybody to eat. They're too particular. But anyway, you brown your ground meat. It doesn't have to be completely cooked through and through because you are going to bake this. But, I break it up as much as I can and cook it down pretty good. And then you can pour out, strain the grease. I saw on Facebook one time, or maybe I actually saw it on YouTube, where instead of draining the grease, you just take a paper towel like I'm doing here, pass it all through the pot, and pick up, as much grease as you can that way. Then you just start layering your food. The ground meat, I stirred in those sausage and potatoes that was left, gave it a little taste, seasoned it some more. Then sometimes I stir in canned soup in the ground meat, but because I put those potatoes in there, I didn't. Top it with tater tots. I've topped it with French fries before because that's what I had on hand. I guess you could do mashed potatoes if you want, similar to like a shepherd's pie. I have done that before and didn't care for it, so we stick to the tater tots. Then this Hawaiian chicken, I'm just getting this prepped for the next day. I did add some of my own stuff in besides what the packet called for because I wanted it to have a little bit more flavor. So I just got that all into a bowl and, threw my chicken legs in there and left it until the next day. When my husband had said he would grill it, but we ended up not putting it on the grill. I just threw it in the oven, cooked it for about 45 minutes, depending on your oven, on 375. And it was good. Some of them I had left, plain, like I didn't soak them in this stuff. I just seasoned them. And I found that the ones that were seasoned and baked like I normally would do tasted better than this. One day I'm going to learn to stop trying new things because I don't know. I get tired of eating the same old things all the time, but at the same time, when I try new stuff, I'm like, man, this isn't even good. And I prefer the things that I'm used to cooking. So, anyway, I threw in some brown sugar because I like that sweet and spicy component, which there was no spice to it, so I did put in some sriracha and red pepper flakes, and then it tasted really good. But once I cooked it, I don't know, like the flavor wasn't there. It was good, but it wasn't what my taste buds were expecting.
Problems, I thought we could fix them, but we got tired. There's nothing left to do but to say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over you, only wish that I knew how to go on. Baby, you and me, we're so messed up together. Even if we tried, we'd be stuck here forever. I don't understand right now how to make it through, but I'll get over you, and it's not like I'm gonna hate you. It's what it is, nothing left that we could do. Even though it hurts right now, we will make it through. I'll get over you. met you, we were like fireworks. Thought nothing could break us, but oh how we got burned. Look at us now, we scream, we fight, and no one knows the reason. We're both getting out of line. Now say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over you, only wish that I knew how to go on.
Moving on to the kids' desserts. They wanted to help, so I did let them help a little bit. Anybody else just get overwhelmed when there's too many people in the kitchen? Like, I like to get in there and get it done so I can get back out. I know they need to learn though, so I just need to get it out of my head and just teach them. But anyway, we decided to do the banana pudding first. That way it would have time to set up while the brownies baked in the oven. So the way that I make banana pudding, and I learned this years ago whenever I worked at the hospital in the kitchen, is to use banana cream pudding, the instant pudding. I know you can do this from scratch, but I don't have time for all that. So I use the banana cream pudding, which this day, the pudding that I had bought, they didn't have banana cream. It was vanilla, and I just added some banana extract to it. But you make your instant pudding according to the box directions, and then once it sets up a little bit, you stir in 1 can of the sweetened condensed milk and 1 container of Cool Whip, and then you layer your pudding and cookies and obviously bananas, but my bananas were overripe, so we did not put bananas in our banana pudding. Now we're doing the brownies, and you'll see that my immersion blender with the whisk attachment couldn't handle the thickness of the brownie batter, so I ended up just doing it by hand. But anyway, I don't know, I think this was Betty Crocker or something, brownie mix, and I prefer the one with walnuts, but again, some people are just too particular for that, so I left it out. So here we are the next day. Saturday, we were supposed to grill that chicken, like I said earlier, but we ended up not doing that. I just baked it in the oven. And so because my husband doesn't eat chicken, and also because I never did get around to cooking that chuck tender roast that I was talking about, here it is. I figured I'm in the kitchen, I'll get this chicken in the oven. Well, actually I started the beef first because that will take longer to cook. I cut a couple of onions, put those aside. A beef roast, I never actually cook it like a roast, unless if it's just a regular chuck roast. That's a more fattier meat, and it will be more tender, and it'll have a different flavor, but it's good that way. And that's, I think, the kind of roast that most people use for, like, say, a Mississippi roast. But I prefer this chuck tender roast. It has less fat. It still tastes good though, but I don't cook it all in one piece like a roast. I actually take it thinly, well, not thinly, but I slice it into about 1/2 inch thick pieces. Depending on how big of a hurry I'm in, I will take those slices and cut those in half to get the pieces smaller so they'll cook faster. But I wasn't in a hurry. I had started cooking early enough that we had time. So I went ahead and just sliced the whole roast into big, about 1/2 inch thick slices, and then I season both sides and throw it in the pot. I think because I didn't have enough room on my cutting board, I had ended up seasoning one side, and then once I put them in the pot, I put them seasoned side down, and then I seasoned the second side. I do trim off this bottom fat because why not trim it off? But I know the flavor is in the fat and all that good stuff, but this fat, it just does not, it doesn't add to the flavor, so I just cut it off. And there's not a lot of fat running through the meat, which is why I say it's less fatty. Like a regular chuck roast, you know, it's more marbled, but it's very good. So obviously I don't cut that out, but on this kind of roast, I just trim off that bottom layer and cut it like this. Now these pieces of meat, once cut, are also very good on the barbecue pit. But again, we decided not to light the pit, so I just cooked it on the stove. And sometimes if I am in a hurry, I will start this on the stove and finish it in the Instant Pot. Yes, I'm dirtying 2 pots, but you know, you get the tender meat much faster in the pressure cooker, but you don't get any flavor if you know, just saute your meat. I've tried just doing it all in one pot, but if you brown your meat in the Instant Pot, your gravy is going to taste like water. If you are able to brown your meat in an Instant Pot and your gravy still tastes good, well, you go for it. I can't do it. I've tried. Can't do it. So if I plan on throwing this into the Instant Pot, I'll still start it on the stove first. And then once the meat is good and brown, I'll throw it in the Instant Pot, do my onions, and then add my water, get the gravy going really good so I can scrape up all those good bits off the bottom of the pot. And then I'll pour that liquid into the Instant Pot and cook it. I don't think it takes a very long time, but just because I don't have anything else to do, I usually will set it for about 45 minutes or so, and I let it natural release when it's done, unless I start late and we're really hungry and ready to eat, then I'll just release the pressure. But if I'm not in a huge hurry, when it's done, I just let it natural release, while we're waiting for it to be time to eat. And then it comes out so tender, it just falls apart in your mouth. I don't know, it's really, really good. I discovered this cut of roast years ago, so many years ago, in fact, that back then I would take the one roast and cut it in half and make 2 meals out of it. That was when my bigger kids were little and we didn't have those last 2, and that one roast would feed us for 2 separate meals. But now, I guess you could say it still does. I'll cook this and there will be some left, even though on this day I'm cooking the chicken as well. So some of us will eat chicken and some of us won't. Only some of us are eating the beef meat is what I'm saying. But even if we would all eat from this pot of rice and gravy, there will be some left that could be easily stretched for a second meal by throwing in some sausage and like potatoes and kind of making like a stew. There's always ways to change it up and stretch it if you need to. And you see that pot, that's not burnt. That's where your flavor comes from. I try to teach my kids and even my husband, when I'm browning my meat, I put it in the pot and I leave it alone. I don't touch it. I don't pick it up and look at it. I let it cook. Like Rachel Ray says, the nose knows. If you try to turn it over too soon, it will be stuck to the pot. If you wait till just the right time, it releases from the pot and you've got just such good color on the bottom, and that's where your flavor's at. Now, this last little batch of meat, I did flip that sooner than needed, but I knew that the gravy was going to be good based off of the amount of goodness on the bottom of the pot from the first round of meat. So I went ahead and pulled that out so I could do my onions really quick. That's 2 onions, by the way. It doesn't look like much, but you know, some of us love onions, some of us do not. But as far as this kind of food, this kind of meal, when I do fix like the kids that don't like onions, I will use a little strainer and strain their gravy so they don't get any onions. And yeah, once it comes to a rolling boil like this, I lower it back a little bit higher than a simmer, but low enough that it doesn't boil. You want it to just cook really, really slow for as long as you can let it go. I usually let it go for 3 hours, 4 hours. It depends on how early I start cooking, because then you get that good tender meat. I do cover the pot. That keeps the gravy from like completely evaporating. Sometimes I do cook it a little too long and my gravy cooks too low. And then you got to start adding more liquid and then your gravy don't taste as good. Anyway, I'm not here to give cooking lessons. I'm just here to show you what we eat. Brown your meat really good. Add your water. Get it to a boil, lower it, cover it, and just let it cook. This is the chicken. I'm adding more seasoning. I feel like I have a hard time getting chicken to keep its seasoning, man. But anyway, I get this in the oven and let it cook for, I think it was like, oh, those dang flies, 35 to 45 minutes. And it was good to go. My meat thermometer was giving me issues. First I couldn't get it to come on, and then it wouldn't stay on, and then it wasn't beeping whenever the chicken was at the right temperature, but it wasn't beeping. So I don't know, I was struggling. But it was done. I knew it was done. The juices ran clear. So what I did while cooking the the green beans and stuff, heating the green beans, was I just turned off the oven. Here, you'll see me checking it in a little bit. I just turn off the oven and leave them sitting in there while the rest of the stuff comes together. And then, then we ate. It was all good. That was our meals for this week. And see y'all next week with another one. With another week's worth of suppers. One day when I have my life together, I will have these meals planned ahead of time and I can let you know. Oh, see my orzo. I was cooking my orzo in the seasoning packet from the ramen noodles, just to give it a little bit of flavor. I normally just cook it in regular salted water and add my butter at the end. But anyway, here's the plates. That would be for the people who are eating rice and gravy, and that is mine. Have a good week.